Hello everyone. Thank you for joining this conference. I'm Tamara Lopes Teixeira and today I will be presenting the trauma approach in Socio-Spatial studies. Regência Augusta, located next to the mouth of a river called Rio Doce, about 75 miles from the capital of Espírito Santo in southeastern Brazil, serves as a specific case illustrating the trauma approach in socio-spatial analysis. This follows the 2015 collapse of Fundão's iron ore barrage, a catastrophic event resulting in severe environmental devastation and deaths through the municipalities spatially linked with Rio Doce. This event created a profound sense of helplessness on people who cultivated their social spatial relations with the river and from it. Prior to this event, Regência had already chiefly cultivated its economic and cultural activities connected with water from the river and the sea. Once situated contiguous with the Rio Doce and the ocean, the village recognized water into both a tangible and symbolic element, affecting some of the community's challenging experiences and at the same time shaping their resilience through its history. Primarily focused on water as essential resource for most activities, Regência has embraced fishing, tourism, marine-themed handcrafts, surfing, and folkloric manifestations. This reflects an ongoing commitment to safeguard local biodiversity and preserve the traditional way of life. Furthermore, marine turtle conservation in Regência by Projeto Tamar plays a crucial role for the environment, once being acknowledged as the second largest breeding site for loggerhead turtles and the primary area with consistent nesting of the endangered leatherback turtle along the Brazilian coast. It's remarkable that the river or seaside often embody the lifeblood of community existence. The rhythms of daily life are synchronized with the ebb and flow of the water, forging a collective identity deeply rooted in the natural surroundings. In small urban spaces nestled along river banks or coastal areas, the dynamic relationship with water takes on additional layers. These spots often indicate a confluence of urban and rural elements, and the river or ocean becomes both a source of economic opportunity and cultural touchstone. This dual role shapes the identity of these small urban communities as residents navigate the complexities of modernity while maintaining a connection to their watery legacy. The link between trauma and socio-spatial organization lies in the profound impact that traumatic events can have on the external world of individuals, influencing their subjective internal experience of pain, especially when this traumatic event causes the deterioration of their connections. In this context, trauma refers to distressing experience that can have lasting psychological and emotional effects on individuals and communities, notable shaping the way different scales of cities are planned, experienced, and narrated. Sander Ferencz, a Hungarian psychoanalyst contemporary to Sigmund Freud, introduced unique perspectives on trauma in the psychoanalytic field. His concept emphasized that the impact of traumatic events extends beyond the event itself, considering the psychological and relational dynamics of the situation. Ferencz emphasized the relational and interpersonal aspects of trauma. He argued that traumatic experiences often rooted in early childhood relationships affect not only the individual's psyche but also the dynamics of relationships, and communities. This relational trauma has implications for how communities interact, form bonds, and navigate shared space. In addition, Ferenczi proposed that trauma involves the introjection of painful experiences, which means that the impact of trauma becomes internalized within individuals. The internalization can lead to a collective introjection within a community, influencing shared perceptions of safety, trust, and spatial relationships. Building on the idea of introjection, Ferenczi explored how trauma could be transmitted across generations. If traumatic experiences are not adequately addressed and healed, subsequent generations may inherit the psychological and emotional consequences. This transgenerational transmission can shape the socio-spatial dynamics of communities over time. Collective trauma in some cases tends to erode subjectivity, especially when approached without considering the discursive level through the production of testimonies. Regencia, with approximately 1,500 inhabitants, exemplify how the trauma perspective can reveal clues about the transformation of socio-spatial relations. Architecture as a specialized narrative of social life historically interacts with social contradictions, suggesting some evidence of affective, aesthetic, and political assimilation in urban development. Brazil's civilizing project at the beginning of 20th century created an immunological psyche insufficiency related to the fantasies rooted in this process, considering as a necessity the break with the old colonial lifestyle in order to become modern, such as Europeans were at the time. Thus, the legacy of Portuguese colonization in Brazil laid the foundations for a mode of governance that prioritized the extraction of resource and the exploitation of land. This approach, rooted in a mentality of domination and control, has been perpetuated throughout various historical periods. According to Gisálio Cerqueira Filho, affective authoritarianism, a political and social phenomenon in Brazil, is characterized by the imposition of power through emotional and cultural means, playing a crucial role in justify and normalize exploitative practices. The main argument is that the antagonism shifted to relativized differences, preserving diversity as a relativized difference, and the control exercised by the colonizing cultural forms without destroying, ensuring the survival of the colonized culture. Pathos can be understood as a social symptom, reflecting the deep-seated psychological wounds inflicted during the violence of colonization, affecting the collective consciousness of Brazil. The trauma inflicted during this period is seen as a psychic injury that continues to impact the nation's mental and emotional well-being. Some authors, like Frederick Jameson and David Harvey, explore social suffering in cities, associating it with the ordinary suffering of workers in contemporary capitalist systems. The circuit of productive force in the system creates a social logic that links social cohesion within productive labor relations, resulting in disaffiliation and the emptying of meaning and identity for those outside this circuit. So, the nation's mental and emotional well-being tends to be linked with labor and its impact on the urban landscape, which he analyzed with a keen focus on what he terms the cultural logic of late capitalism. In this context, the innovative socio-spatial structures within a close-knit community like Regência represent a remarkable initiative aimed to mitigating some toxic impacts of the cultural dynamics associated with late capitalism. All cultural practices along public space of the village have marine motifs, and biodiversity representation was remarked as a conciliatory way of resistance, offering a labor, cultural, and artistic outlet, fostering sociability through creative production of Regência's citizens. The production of crafts in Regência Augusta serves as a powerful way of socio-spatial healing. Crafting allows individuals to generate economic value, to preserve aspects of their cultural identity, and to stand as a communal activity that transcends individual efforts, contributing to the restoration of social bonds. The socio-spatial healing is evident and the shared space where crafting occurs, fostering a sense of belonging and interconnectedness. Moreover, the communal aspects of craft production fostered a sense of solidarity among women and their families. In fact, crafting circles and artisans associations emerge as a space not only for economic cooperation, but also for sharing experiences and providing emotional support. The act of crafting, therefore, transcended its utilitarian purpose and became a vehicle for the communal elaboration of trauma. When applied to the realm of socio-spatial territories, Ferentz's concept of trauma suggests that local space should go beyond addressing individual psychological needs. It should consider the collective psychological well-being of communities, acknowledging the influence of past traumas on how individuals interact with and shape their physical environment. Another example of socio-spatial narrative in public space in Regência that shapes the communal identity is the Caboclo Bernardo's artistic expression linked to folkloric festivals and religion syncretism. Once more, the history of the Regência's myth comes together with the Rio Doce as a character. In 1887, a cruiser operated by Brazilian Imperial Navy collided with a sandbar at the mouth of the Rio Doce. An indigenous, Bernardo José dos Santos, rescued 128 lives, an event that was honored by the Crown. Bernardo became a myth in the imagination of local fishermen as a hero and later a cultural icon. The Caboclo Bernardo Festival links Congo, a black culture, with the cult of the image of São Benedito, Portuguese Christian culture. The meeting of Congo in the village square and in front of Catholic Church bands that take place at the festival promote a meeting of different groups, creating a flow of local culture and host a network of traditional narratives of people. So, this is the foray into symbolic efficacy. Architectural narratives of their images of Regência before the disaster event may incorporate elements of storytelling and acknowledge into an emotional elaboration of the trauma. Until now, in Regência Augusta, the cultural events, the art and crafts, the artistic expressions could be designed with symbolic elements or visual motifs that tell the story of these people, recovery, and the community's journey through adversity. In conclusion, trauma is a sophisticated concept influencing the physical, social, and psychological aspects of urban life. In general, when approaching local spaces and architecture with an understanding of historical traumatic process or even traumatic events, people are able to elaborate their anguish using the city as a material mediator for their pain. Finally, a collective connection with water serves as a socio-cultural anchor, uniting the community and shaping the broader net of human experience in spaces. Thank you for your attention. I'm eager to hear your comments and questions. Until next time.